Hello, 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 hello. Well, coming up, coming up. Hopefully you can hear me. Just get the camera working. Okay. Oh, OBS has been funny. One moment. Hello. All right. Hopefully now. Oh, something's up. Something is up. Oh dear. Okay. All right. I think we're good now. Sorry about that. Let's just hope that's all running. Okay. Apologies. Yeah. Sometimes OBS just freezes the. I'm not sure why the video stream. However, all seems well and good now. Hello, I'm Gaz Williams. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, if this is your first time here, really, really pleased that you've taken time out to join me. And I'm I'm trying to stream more regularly. Yeah, I just hope that this is all running okay. Yeah, I've got a few little issues going on here. So hopefully it'll be all right in a moment. If you just bear with me until I get those sorted, my confidence will now. Okay, we're good. Hello, hi Wagyu. Thank you. That means we've got action. Okay, all right. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, weird. Throws you a little bit. Right. Hello. Yep, I'm Gaz Williams. So, yep, I talk about music technology and that kind of thing. I'm a gigging musician as well and bass player, but also have become a bit of a modular synth performer too. And tonight we're going to be having a little look at this is my live rig, and we'll have a little look at what's new. I've shown this rig a number of times, but as I've done a bunch of gigs with it, I've made a few refinements on it. I thought it might be quite interesting to share why I've made those refinements, because those refinements have been born out of experience, which I didn't have before, of playing live modular synth. But now I've got close to 10 gigs under my belt now. Not a lot compared to my normal music career, but it's been a really interesting learning process. So I'm going to share some of that with you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Really, really nice to see you there. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks everybody. I was on Sonic Talk earlier with Paulie and Florian from Bad Gear, which is the first, and Nick Bat, of course. So that was a good episode. If you haven't checked that already. But yeah, so I'm going to talk then, through some of these things. And there's a few things about this live rig. I'm trying not to change it at all. I'm trying to more or less keep it the same. It's really hard with modular. So any changes that I've done have been very minor. For instance, I recently put this module on here. It's by Happy Nerding, and it's called the 2x Sam. And it's just a very simple 2 stereo channel like mixer. So you got 2 stereo channel inputs, but you got little jumpers at the back, so you can make those stereo inputs line level or modular level. So in this case, it's great because I've got one of these set up to be a line level, and then actually the bottom one is set to be line level, and this one is set to be modular level. So what I typically do with this live rig is I augment it with I've got a smaller second unit and I've been changing around what's in that, and I think that's quite fun. This I'm trying to keep the same, and then the second unit, which plugs into this top one, I can sort of change and experiment with. The bottom input, though, with that set to line, I've put together this incredible new pedal board. So I'm going to make a future episode about the pedal board because my goodness, it's amazing. It's kind of agnostic, the pedal board, whether it's bass, guitar, or even keyboards or vocals, in fact. So it's my hub for when I use the modular. It's my hub for my guitar, bass, and singing, and it's all MIDI'd in. There's a module here called Pamela's New Workout, and that's got a little expander, and that's got a MIDI DIN output on there. So I run the MIDI out of this and into the pedal board, and the pedal board is all MIDI'd up. It's really exciting. So the pedal board completely synchronizes to this live rig, and when you press the yellow button on the Pamela's New Workout, that essentially starts everything up and stops everything up. And that's a really great module for that purpose. So much so, I've now actually got two Pamelas. And the Pamela's New Workout, this one was the follow-up to the first one called Pamela's Workout, Pamela's New Workout, but now we've got Pamela's Pro Workout. This is the latest one, and it's got a much bigger screen, and you can even see on this camera here that it's so much more legible than this one here, and it's quite dim as well because there's quite a deep red filter on that one. This is much better, and it's got a load more features in it too, although ostensibly it is the same. It's the same width. It's what's that, 8 HP, or is it 10? 8, I think. Yeah. And it packs so much in. I've talked about it before. I'm not going to talk about individual modules too much. This is more about just the whole thing. I will actually play something in a moment, just give a little bit more context. Checking in with the chat room. Hello everybody. I will turn to the chat room later if you want to talk or ask me any questions. So yeah, so thanks so much if you join me live. Really appreciate that. Okay, so as I say, small adjustments, but this is really nice then. So very simple. But one thing that's brilliant about this particular module is that it gives you an extra pair of stereo outs for both channels. So it'll bring the pedal board up to modular level, and then I've got a independent stereo mix that I can take elsewhere, which I've got the Disting EX here, and that's got a great granulator, like a granular processor, and so I can feed the pedal board. Then it allows me to feed the pedal board into other areas, or if not the pedal board, I can feed the second modular in as well. So that, and that's a 4 HP module. So like this whole thing about HP, when I started my modular journey, which was 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago, I think, which I've chronicled through this channel, the whole concept of HP and rack hogs and things like that, I understood it in principle, essentially, how certain modules are really big, and do they deserve their space in the rack if they take up, more space than the functionality maybe kind of suggests. I was a bit ambivalent to that at the beginning. I was just a little bit like, yeah, I don't know, well, that's great. And some of the first few modules I got, there were some pretty big ones, and people were commenting about that. So certainly with this live rig, I've tried to pack in a lot of things. The biggest one in my rig here is the QD drum. I mean, hopefully Vlad might drop into the chat room today. He is known to lurk around these parts, and I am at some point going to be chatting with Vlad, because I've got the expander now, the QEX, and that kind of expands this module, makes it 4 HP, so it makes it even bigger. But I'm currently actually not using any of the functionality of that, so that's kind of waiting in the wings, and I'm excited about that because it's nice to have areas of this board. Similarly, the Pamela's new Pro Workout, I've got a few unused, in fact I've got 4 outputs available for that, and that's glorious. My goodness, it feels like this board is already doing a lot, but I've got some really powerful possibilities that I can add into this with those other outputs. So as I get new ideas, and similarly at the top here behind this cable portal, this here is it's a 4-channel attenuator, really, from IntelliGel. It's called the Quadrat. You can attenuate, mix, attenuate, bipolar and unipolar. So it's really flexible. And I've kept a couple of those open as well. So they are, I lie in bed thinking about those things. Oh, what can I make them do? And I know some of you hate modular, and I was very, very trepidatious about even going down there. And I got to be honest, it took me about at least a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, really, to start to click with it and to actually start to want to do things with it. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, I do credit Steve Davis as being a massive influence on my modular journey. We've spent a lot of time together exploring modular, and it's I'm very grateful for that. And we've got an ongoing interest. We've got some gigs as well coming up later in the year, which I'm excited about. I'll announce the dates of them a little bit later, but we're going to be playing in Cardiff in August, and that's going to be a good show. Hope that I'll try and film that show if we can. So I just having a look in the chat room. Wagyu says that he builds a 19-inch rack and just can keep expanding modular. Well, makes a lot of sense. I think for me, if we look at this here, this is a Damaru case, by the way, and there's a lid that goes on it, and it forms a really nice kind of briefcase kind of thing. It's really sturdy, and I feel really confident when I carry it around, because obviously there's a lot of stuff in here. So these cases have to be, it's really well made. It's actually made in Bristol, in the basement of Elevator Sound, where Damaru is based. Highly recommend. But there's a carry handle on the top here. I've taken this on the tube numerous times now, and I think that is a real test for whether a piece of gear is, practical, viable, in that, without having to, mollycoddle gear, that being able to take it on the tube is really good. So this rig then, as I say, this kind of, it works on its own. I do expand it, as mentioned, with the pedals and with the top rig, but there's drums and there's synths and there's effects and sequency type things as well in here. Now, I've talked before about this module here we can see, which is called grids, and we'll start with grids. And let's just turn everything down, and we'll just start with grids. And we'll just do a quick whistle stop around things, because I want to talk about grids, because the latest module, and it's only been in for a few days now, and it's this, which is called Compass from Bastel, and it's living next door. Well, it's living next door to the Palms, next door to grids, but this kind of area is the sort of, like, this is a generative kind of area, I suppose. Grids gives me lots of different preset drum rhythms that you can mix and match and get infinite varieties of. Palms, as I mentioned, multi-clock out. We'll skip over that for the moment. But then this one here, Compass. This is a little bit like grids. It's 3-channel, similar. Grids kind of essentially has a kick, snare, and hi-hat output, and that's what it's kind of, you expected to plug them into, and makes a lot of sense. And it's very groovy. Things that you make with this, just really nice and groovy. But the Bastel one does a similar thing. You've got like 3 channels, so you send a clock into it, and it generates a 32-step pattern. So there's like 32-step patterns, pattern generators here. And the way it works is when you turn the knob, it generates a new pattern. So you leave it, and it's not like random. It's sort of generated, you know. And if you don't like it, just move it. If you want it to be busier, turn it more clockwise. If you want it to be sparse, if you turn it all the way to the left, much like the way that grids works, it's essentially like mutes that. So that's really, from a performing point of view, it's really cool. So yeah, so I'll get something playing with grids, and we'll have a little listen to how grids works. And then what I'll do is I'll then bring in some of the compass, and we can see how it works and how they're a little bit different from each other. I should mention with compass, the 3 outputs are not all the same. Longitude, it calls it a probability navigator. That's what it calls it. And you know, so you've got longitude, altitude, and latitude. And I think longitude is the most predictable. And so I'm reckoning kick drums, and then the top one is like less predictable. Is more. So it's all a bit weird. They don't give you too much information. It's up to you to kind of discover this. And then the middle one, altitude, apparently is influenced by both. So yeah, okay. Let's have a look. But we'll come to that one. We'll just get something playing with grids. So that have some sound. Why no sound? Hang on. Oh, that was good, wasn't it? It was all going so well. Yeah, that's all plugged in. See, my line's in. Yep. I had it working. Why is it doing this to me? Playing that. Whoops, sorry. Well, at least I know that works. Actually, rather than you watch me panic, I will switch over to this view so I can talk whilst I'm just troubleshooting. Now, it was all working fine, so I just got to figure out what's going on. Yeah, and in a way, this is one of the things. What I've been doing when I've been playing live is I've just... You know, it's one of the drawbacks of something like a modular rig is it's just going and seating all of the jack sockets in just to make sure that everything is good. Because, like, you know, clocks can be bad if something gets lifted and it's carrying clock signal. You know, things grind to a halt. But it's not clock here. That's not a problem because I can see things are turning over nice, flashing lights. Let's just unmute it. Okay, we got sound. All right. Okay. All is well, everybody. Yeah, okay. In fact, I was just being a fool because I realized I turned off all the pattern generating anyway. It's all good. Okay, so I can bring in a kick. Should get rid of some effects. Just get that clean kick. Right. So what we're hearing now is the accent output of the accent output of the grids. But the main kick output I'm going to turn on here. So that's an analog kick. It's from 2HP. It's a tiny little 2HP module, the kick. You can put more front on it. So I like the combination of this sampled kick, which is just triggering on the accents, and then the busier kick coming from the module, the kick module. So yeah, so with grids then, turn it to the left, it's effectively muting it. If I turn it up a little bit, we'll just get like a downbeat, which is useful. There's a reset coming into this. I'll talk about the reset in a bit. I've talked about reset before, but you know, reset is a funny one. You know, you see it and you're like, whoa, why do I need to reset it? And you know, I know most of you know this, but a lot of people still don't quite get that with Modular, that every single cable just carries like a single vibration. There's no other message. There's not multiple messages down single cables. So there's a lot of cables on here because I've got to send a lot of messages. So each message has its own cable, including like a reset, you know, so things that generate patterns, you know, the reset will mean that when I start the thing, it'll start from the beginning. And the way I've set up the reset then is I'm using one of the outputs of the Pamela's new workout. And what you can do with each of these outputs, you can make them, you can clock them at all different speeds, but you can also just like have it just send a signal, just like a one-time signal, and so like gate high or gate low. So I've got this now, so it sends a signal when you turn it off. So when I start it, it's playing, but when I press it again to turn it off, that's when it set the reset. That's when it sent the reset message. So it now means that anything that has essentially like a downbeat will start from that downbeat. And the reason I do it from the off, you can have it so when you press it, it'll send a reset. So the sequencers will jump, but some sequencers are funny and they want the second gate before it'll jump back to reset. So when it resets, when you press it, you know, when you turn the rhythm off, then you just know that when you start, everything has been reset. This is kind of cool. And there's a lot on here that's got a reset. So we've got a reset going into the arpeggiator, a reset going into the into grids, a reset going into this compass, a reset coming into this noise engineering. I can't remember what it's called now. Oh yeah, BinSeek, the BinSeek sequencer. There's a reset going in there. There's another one. Yeah, there's a reset going into this IntelliGel Steppy over here. So yeah, you know, so each time you're sending a reset, that's needing a cable. You know, these cables, they all add up. So yeah, I think, yeah, some people say that this has got a lot of cables on it compared to other people's, but I don't know. I want it to do quite a lot when I'm performing. So anyway, yeah, so let's get that going again. So we've got kicks, and we've got the two flavors of kicks. Then we've got the, you know, the analog kick and the digital kick. For the kick, I've got multiple samples of the kick. For the accent rather. So finding one to sort of sit nicely with the analog kick. But oops. Okay, so yeah, so we've got a snare then. Now when I'm turning this up, what we're hearing now is just the accent snare. The normal snare is going to come out of this module, which is currently muted. I'll leave that off for a moment. So we'll just have a very simple backbeat going on here, and then I'll bring in some hi-hats as well. So this is, yeah, this is grids in a nutshell. So we can make patterns up as I'm changing these knobs. You know, the more I like, more hi-hats, yes please, more again. And then when you get all the way to the top, it starts putting like fill, like these that's the maximum there. But and what I've got for the hi-hats is it's another one of these little Erica Pico drums. It's samples, and it's got two channels, so it's using one channel for the main one and one for the accent, so it's using a different sample for the accent. But I kind of like that. I played it, you still get the accent. Now we can move around different patterns around here. Yeah, let's bring the snare in. Got like an auto pan on the snare. Yeah. So this is grids. And you do find sweet spots, different grooves as you move it around. And it's nice playing with the controls. So the other drums on here, I've got these all being triggered off the hi-hat, off grids. So let's bring them in one at a time. So bringing this one is another copy of the same hi-hat pattern. And now this one is, I've got the hi-hat going into a clock divider. So let's see now what the hi-hat sounds like coming out of this channel, but sort of clock divided. And now this one is another subdivision of it. So now when I play with the hi-hat control of grids, I can control how busy this module is. But apart from the snare, the snare's on its own. I just love it. I just think it's such a cool way. So if I want to sort of do like a breakdown, drop down to the kick. Now, I had this thing where with the kick, I'd put it in. I wanted it to be able to always be a 4 on the floor. So it was just getting a single feed from the PAMs, and that's how I've used it until just the other day. Now I'm feeding the kick like we're hearing it from here. Let me just solo it. Now with this thing here that's called a Splix, it's from Board Brain, I can essentially crossfade. I mean, this could be a switch really, but I just like it. This is getting a feed from PAMs, the 4 on the floor. So I can just change over from the grids kick. And anytime if I want a 4 on the floor, I can just modify that. I get a 4 on the floor. I tell you what, things like that make me feel really proud, because it feels like it's so that's the sort of modular kind of conundrum. And then so I'm quite pleased. So I got my kind of just my basic 4 on the floor when I need it, and then can move it over when I want it to be a groovier and be a bit more interesting. So let's bring these back in then here. So I'll leave off the first channel, which is one set of drums, and we'll just listen to that. Bring the snare in as well. So I find these drums really entertaining. This, let's get back on here. This one is feeding into the Milky Way from Endorphins, which is a dedicated effect essentially for these set of drums. I've got a global effect on the top here. It's a bit crunchy at the moment. I need to get some switch cleaner in that, I think. Oh yeah, it's crunchy. So yeah, it's just nice having What's nice about this one as well, though, you can store just so many different kits and just change it on the moment. I really enjoy making drums on this because I can get interesting, cool patterns up. It's just, I mean, I'm giving away all my what I love, what I do really here, but yeah, like, so I was talking really though, I've had grids for a while and I love it. Just, it's joy. There is a chaos control on grids as well, just tucked down the bottom by here, and it's and that adds randomness into it. So let's just turn that up for a moment. Bring some kicks in. I'll turn the chaos all the way up. So you can use the chaos, and I've turned the chaos off now, and we'll just get that totally repetitive beat, which is really nice. You can send CV into this, turn it all the way up, and back off again. So like things you could do with the PAMs, this is something I've been thinking of lately, actually inspired by my friend Ryan, but sending long, setting an output from Pamela's to be really to be just a single sort of waveform that happens after every 8 bars. So you'll just get like full voltage every 8 bars and then off again. So your last bar in every 8 will have the chaos turn all the way up, and then it'll come off again. So like essentially automating a drum fill. So the Pamela's new workout would be good for that. That might be something I might look at doing tonight if I get time. But really, I want to sort of move over in a moment to the compass, to kind of see if, I mean, I get so many cool rhythms from grids alone. You know, if you want a minimal groove, just turn them back. bring this one back in. Let's just drop the filter back on that. Yeah, so, okay, so turning all of their values down, and then, yeah, it's essentially like muting them. And, you know, that's cool, isn't it? Because you can just turn one up. There we go. We get like a hi-hat coming in every so often, you know, turn it up quickly. Yeah, if it's all the way up, you get a constant stream of them. Break it down to the hats. When I want my 4 on the floor, okay, it's very addictive. Okay, let's just stop that a moment. I'm gonna have I'm drinking beer, I'm afraid. If you don't drink, apologies. It was a nice cold beer when I brought it up. It's so warm at the moment. Yeah. Let's look. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to. Sorry, chatties. I will check in a moment. Peroni is so good, says Jack. Peroni it's too easy. It offers no resistance. It just slips on down. It's gone in a glimpse, as I like to say. Anyway. Okay, so we've been listening to grids, and I've mentioned then about compass, which is kind of similar but different, as we'll see. Unfortunately, I don't have it set up with drums in the same sort of way, but I have got it going to 2 drum channels, but I've also got one of the channels going in. I've got one of the channels going into the gate input of one of the synths. Excuse me. So if I was to, I'm just going to mute everything, and I'll just bring in my synth now. Oh, hang on, that's the wrong one. Wrong synth. This synth. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, let me just sort this synth out. Let's just get it. Let's get it doing pulses. I've just got to unpatch. I've been messing around with it. I'll patch those things back in a moment. Okay. So I've taken off any pitch sequence, so every trigger we're hearing now is coming from the compass. So turn the compass to the left, and again, that's like muting it. Turn it up a little bit. I think it might need some more coming from the others to make it do more. So now I'll turn that off for a moment, and I've got two drum voices, Erica synth drum voices here, which are they're not samples. They're like models or, you know, synth engines. So let's have a listen to what they are doing. Right, let's turn them up. Oh, I know something that I'm going to do. I'm going to give a faster clock into the compass. Because if I turn these all the way up, these are filling as fast as they can, given the incoming clock. So I've got my clock coming from next door. So I'll find channel 3 on here, and then the modifier. So I'll double it. But like, if we go in right up here now, it starts to become a lot more fun, because you get these really complex little patterns going on. Right, let's get this synth doing something cool. I'm going to bring grids back in now. Oh, I'm going to turn that synth off for a minute. Let's just work with these. I might slow that modifier down a little bit. If you set it to 12, I think, or like 6, maybe. Let's try it on 6. Yeah, so it gives me just scope for interesting rhythms. It's only been in for a few days, so I'm still just getting to grips with it. Yeah, it's kind of cool, isn't it? They're sort of interesting in kind of slipping in into different parts, taking them out. Bring one of them in a little bit. Press stop, start. So it's getting that reset, you see, so you can hear it's... Yeah, so I'm starting and stopping it there. So you can see that the pattern, if you leave it alone, becomes fixed. How are we doing for time? Oh, not too bad. Ken Spong. This is what drum tracks over the internet should sound like. Is it, or would sound like? Yeah. So we have got more drum possibilities on top of what we've already got from the Rample, and the Rample is packed full of drum sounds, and I can program extra rhythms on this steppy at the bottom here. So let's in fact do that. And so I've got an empty steppy here, and I'm going to mute everything, and I'll just and we'll just have the drums from the Rample. Now, there is another place where we can get more drums from, and that's from the Disting EX. So I can really get an awful lot of drums going on with this. Okay, so let's have a little look at the Rample, and then we'll just try combining things. And because I think that this compass at the 6 might be a bit weird. I'm wondering if 3. I wonder if we try it on 3. That might be quite nice. Let's just try that first, and then we'll move on to that one. Yeah, so those, you're getting kind of triplet accents really coming through on that. Getting that 3 across 4 feel. I like that. Okay, so yeah. So now let's have a look onto here. Let's just dial in a kit. I'll use some of the ones that come pre-installed. This Rample from Squap has got a great set of samples, and if you navigate to the S bank, there's loads. There's about, how many is there? Oh yeah, about 60 odd kits just in the S bank, and 4 channels. So if I just get up really simple, oops, let's just load in that bank. Turn off the effects. Okay. And it's quite quiet, but I'll just quickly program up something. So second channel, like, we're just going to do just something bog standard, and then I'll start messing with this to get it. This is just for us to have a little listen to. Okay, bog standard. Let's just do that for now. Okay. So let's just step through a few of these. Just choose that one for a minute. Put this through some effects. So quite a busy layered sound, but pretty cool. Different kit. Different kit off this one too. Different kit. I mean, you see, you can't work this quick on a drum machine. So I think, this is like kind of traditional sort of step drum programming. I wish you could just create random patterns on here. I don't know if there's a way to do that. Well, there sort of is. I do know one way to do it, actually, and it's this way, where you just fill all of them. Fill all of every step. This could be 64 steps, this thing could as well. But I'll just keep it with 16 steps for now. And we'll fill up all of the steps on all of the channels. Yeah. No, let's just do that one. Okay. So all the steps are full. Let's listen to that. Turn it down a bit. Okay. So all steps up playing. Now, stood off for a minute. On here, what I can do on this steppy is I can set a probability of the steps playing. I can do it on a per step basis, which is really cool. But in this case, though, I'm just going to do it across the whole thing. So I get it playing. Get that probability up here. Oops. And set the probability to 50. I can set it lower. Once. So, you only get like kind of 8 steps of granularity of that probability. But again, all the steps. Now, if I change that from drums, though, and put it to one of my sample banks that I've made up myself, like my glockenspiel bank, for instance, which I love this. So you'll hear me do this quite a lot. So that's that same pattern playing. Oh, well, I say same pattern. That's that same full pattern with that probability. Increase the probabilities. Becomes a bit chaotic, a bit too quickly, but it's cooking. So when I sampled my glockenspiel, I sampled all the notes and loaded them into that in a way that to kind of predict how it'll play melodies. So I picked the intervals certain ways, and there's a couple of notes that sounding a bit crunchy, but there shouldn't be too much in the way of notes which are too close. The harmony should always happen with a reasonable gap between them. So that's why this makes it kind of quite pleasing. But this Rample, though, I've got it going into this effect unit here. It's like talking delays, but there's a... find this pitch delay. Oh yeah, here we go. Just bringing our drums again now. So I'm going to modify my little pattern here by I'm going to make sure that the first channel only ever plays on downbeats. Just like that. Then this channel doesn't play on those notes. In fact, let's have them only playing on their second notes. These ones playing on their thirds. And then this one only playing on their fourths. Now let's change the probability to full. Should get like a kind of build a predictable kind of pattern then. But let's on here now I can change where the how long this pattern runs for. So I've just taken it taken off the last step, so it's running 15 steps now. Well, that channel. Actually, I'll do that to all steps, I think. Okay, let's bring in some of these triplet. Let's make them sound a bit nicer. I'm going to take off probability. Oh, sorry, take off some of those notes with some probability. Let's bring this bit plinky blonky, but let's work with it. Give myself a load of notes to work with. Glockenspiel's doing my head in. I'm sure it's doing your head in too. Let's change it. So the rhythm now of this synth is coming from this compass, which is getting a clock of, there's 3 times the speed. Right, let's try and get it playing some nice notes now. I'll try to make sense of this musically now. Take that out for a minute. I'll make more notes. So these notes, they're coming from an arpeggiator, but I'm sending in an LFO that changes what the root note of the arpeggiator is. If I turn that off now, you can hear it's kind of trying to move through that. So just trying to now the strength in which it's playing is being controlled by this civilization module. Let's get it busier. Let's move that around. So I'm trying to get it sort of work. A weird jump, but I can't remember. I'd have to have a look. What's this now? I'm trying to remember what's changed in that arpeggiator. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's output one up here. So I'll make it slower. Changes. So I'm going to stop it for a moment to have a break from it. So this is the bit that's really difficult. I'm sure it is for everybody, which is actually the making music and making some sense out of the music. I mean, I like to do completely avant-garde random kind of stuff on here as well, but when you try to do something that is recognizably music with harmony and melody, rhythm, etc., repeatability, forget it. It's a bit of a challenge. I've tried melody generators. I've got the Bloom from Qubit. Never liked the melodies that it generates. I mean, and it can quantize the pitches. It sounded like it was going to be really good. I mean, it may well be really good. I just perhaps haven't bonded with it. But I can generate notes from a few places. I've got a little tiny sequencer here, a little Pico Seq, which is a Erica synths. I mean, you'll notice there's quite a lot of Erica synths. We've got the Pico synth, then we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drum voices there, 2 drum twos. Sorry, 4 Pico drum voices. There's also the DSP, which is a stereo effect in this Pico range, and then down here there's the voice as well, which is a full synth voice in 3 HP. They're really cool things. That voice is fun. I can have a little, yeah. Let's have a little play with that voice. I'm gonna. Oh, let's see. Synth Addict saying modular fun is a special kind of fun. Thanks for the reminder, as I need to make a modular set for an EMOM is SF San Francisco tomorrow night. Wow. Maybe you can clarify if that's San Francisco. That sounds really cool, and good luck. Let us know if it's been streamed. Yeah, so I'm going to probably sign off shortly, but I'll do a little bit more though, because I've been, I suppose, over this evening touring around little parts of what this thing is. There's still a whole bunch that I've muted and I've not turned on yet. But yeah, it's got a heavy drum it's got a heavy drum focus really, and you know, I really enjoying that. I didn't expect to take that turn. But I think some of the gigs that I've done, or some of the gigs I've done with Steve as well, and actually going to the seeing Steve and Robin as well when they played at Synth East, that was great. Seeing Nick Void play as well at the Synth East, she was really good, and Lula York as well. Really good with beats, you know, techno, modular techno, like of the highest caliber, really, to be fair. But I was like really enjoying it. It's like, oh yeah, as a modular techno is really good to listen to, because there's such a lot of, I don't know, movement in the sound. But yeah, I wasn't expecting to kind of go that way, but I've just gravitated towards it. But I think especially when you play a gig, especially if it's a loud and a big gig with a lot of people there, just drums just feel the right thing. Especially if it's a gig and you want to energize the place. But yeah, so I've been wanting to have a very performable approach. You know, I know I've got this bit of programmability on the left here, but really, I mean, when I've been gigging, you know, as I'm sure some of you watch some of the gigs, you know, I'm constantly adjusting stuff, and I mean, it's probably too much adjustment in a way. Just like I could let things be a little bit more. So I reckon that'll be something that I'll need to learn a little bit. You know, a bit of restraint, which is something I don't have a lot of as a person. So, yeah, it might not come that easy to me. But yeah, how are we doing with, sorry, chatties, I've been, Lulio, Nick, Colt Void, Robin, yes, just in the nick of time. Thank you, mate. Good to see you there. A Synth Addict, yes, San Francisco. Yeah, nice. Good luck. Yeah, wow. I'd love to come and do a modular set in there, Frisco. Oh, Wagyu, we need some Nightmare Ambient. How could I not? Okay, I'll maybe I'll stop talking now, because I want to keep some stuff back. I hope you've enjoyed me talking about this stuff. It's not been too boring. It's you know, it feels quite indulgent to talk about this stuff. Spend a lot of time playing with it, so actually to talk about it's really nice. One thing that I did have to do though, and you know, I'm sure the seasoned modular people out there will completely relate to this, but you know, shuffling things around. I went to Elevator Sound the other day in Bristol. Great, fantastic shop. I'm sure you all know about now, but they're brilliant. I love them in there. They're so cool, and I get really proper impartial advice. You know, they don't. Well, sometimes they're really into things and want to let you know about it. But I like to go in there with some of my dilemmas and offload my dilemmas. But I went in there and I said, look, I want in 4 HP, I want to be able to generate patterns a bit like grids. So that was the challenge that I'd laid to them, and whittled it down to actually there's a perfect thing here, which is the Bastel compass, and I was super happy. I thought, yeah, that's great. I was using a Distinct Mark IV before to do a similar thing, but it was it's really good, but I wanted more hands-on. I wanted that ability to be able to mute them by turning them down, increase them, but you know, exactly like the performability of grids. So I was delighted, and then we realized it was 5 HP. Dun dun dun. Oh yes, 5 HP. Let's see if I can find a suitable sound effect. Oh, that one. 5 5 HP. Yeah. 5 HP, which meant, where the hell do I find 1 HP? And, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. But holy moly, the amount of stuff I had to move around and change and just head work to accommodate 1 HP. Damn you, elevator sound! But yes, yeah, it meant more or less taking all of the screws out of this. But herein is the thing. By doing that, I felt a little bit under duress in order to sort of have to move things around for that one HP. However, in doing that, it did give me a couple of opportunities to kind of standardize things a little bit. And you know, my kick module was right down, let's go here. My kick module was right down the bottom here, and all the other drums are up here. And so that was one of the things. And my filters are together now, and I got my mixing and my filter section there, and drums are all there now. My rhythm generating is all there. So everything has become a little bit more, I don't know, a little nicer layout. So, you know, there's a little silver lining occasionally. But my goodness, you know, there's a lot of modules in here. So the ribbon cables that connect the modules to the bus board inside the case is packed full, you know, and I've got like, I think, I can't remember. I think there might be is a 28 or 32. No, it's less than that. 24 maybe headers, power headers in, you know, in the case. So in order to increase that, I've got like flying cables with extra headers on there, 2 lots of them, and to get it all in there. You know, and you have these dilemmas that are, you know, is it worth it? All out work for 1 HP? And, you know, well, I wonder what you think. I mean, it's definitely interesting. It gives me another means to create rhythms that are working differently to what I've got. As you've heard, there's so much stuff that is coming from the grids and is totally dictated by the grids. Having something outside of the grids then it makes for something quite fun. So I'll do a little jam now then, and I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me, and thank you for all the comments, and I will read through all of them later. Oh yeah, so actually, for those of you who are watching live, if you've got any questions, if you can maybe ask them now, before I do a little jam, and then I'll be out of here. But yeah, if there's any questions about what you've seen tonight, then please ask. Similarly, in the comments if you watch this after the fact, which I know many of you do, and I'm always grateful about that. Wagyu was saying in the chat room, was asking Kent Spong if he saw Look Mum No Computers analog fart box. It's superb. I can testify. I've used it in real life, and it is incredibly farty. It's excellent. Oh, thanks, Andrew, saying he enjoyed that. Thanks. Okay, that's really cool. I appreciate that. I mean, yeah, as I say. Oh, Wagyu question. What happened in the garden before Sonic State? Oh, no, it was... I cut my finger, and then it was bleeding, and I couldn't make it stop bleeding. I was nearly not on Sonic State. It was a very small cut, so it really isn't warranting any sympathy particularly. It was just, yeah, it was just the timing wasn't great. But yeah, it's not particularly rock and roll story. What is cool though, and I'm not sure exactly when this will be available or how we can do it, but I've just received a video from the Eurovision Song Contest gig that I played a couple of weeks ago with the Charlotte Church Late Night Pop Dungeon, and it's really high quality. But what it is it's the video that was shot for the big screens. So so watching it back as a concert footage is a little bit weird because it's filmed specifically for what you see on the big screens, so it's not from the perspective of a TV show. However, it is really good quality, and it's the first time that I've ever actually seen a full Pop Dungeon concert. You know, I think it was certainly played back on video in good quality. So I believe I can put it on my channel, the whole concert. I think I might do that soon. So then you'll be able to see it, because it's something that I've been doing for over 7 years now. On 2016 January we started. Oh, right. Okay. Some questions from Joe O'Connor. How often do you pull patch cables out and rearrange? Right. Oh, well, very good question. As little as possible, really. And when I've been taking and moving the modules around, I did have to take quite a few cables out for obvious reasons. But I really am trying not to change this too much. I'm still going down here when I'm looking for my kick, and the filter that used to be down here is up here. So there's a lot to be said for kind of keeping the modules in particular places. Let's have a look. Madcap Modular is asking me, will I get a large case in the future to fit all the modules all at once? I've got, at the other end of the studio, I've got my 3 rack brutes and a 19-inch rack, all full of modules. So that's like the big modular. But I don't ever imagine taking that out live now, although I have got the carry cases for the rack brutes, so it's not inconceivable. However, it's like when I've been playing with just this, there's enough to occupy me entirely for the whole time of the performance. When I added an extra tier to this rig, then I found it to be it's amazing, but quite overwhelming. You get overwhelmed quite quickly. I do think, however, the pedalboard, which I will show in a later episode of this show, the pedalboard, that interfaces me as a musician into the modular world, and that I'm quite excited about, because bass guitar is my main instrument. I play electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and I sing, although I'm way out of practice on that these days. But I'm going to be able to sort of just bring more of my musicianship. So I can imagine that the gigs I'll be doing in the future, I will be taking the pedalboard, a bass and a guitar, maybe, both. I'd imagine I will take a guitar and a bass with me, and a microphone, and do, and probably my big loop station as well, my RC505. I think that's what I'm working up towards. Anyway, so I'm going just going to check in case there's any more questions that I've missed. Apologies if I have. Yeah, the pedalboard interfacing, says Gate Martins. Yeah, looking forward. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that will be pretty soon. The pedalboard I've put together is so good. A question from Steve Elbows. Did you see comments in Sonic State chat that the H9 has its positive power on the other part of the plug compared to most pedals? Thank you. I do know that, and yeah, I've been conscious of that the whole time. I've got a cable that flips. In fact, here it is, that flips it, and that's worked fine. It's been on my pedalboard. My suspicion is, because I've been driving that H9. Sorry, just background is, I was talking on Sonic State earlier that I have to call it my beloved H9. I've loved using this thing. Is dead, and I can't bring it back to life. So I don't know what's wrong with it. I wonder, is Kent still in the chat room? We might be able to know if this is Wagu's saying it will also need a minimum amount of milliamp, like 300 or 500 minimum. Yeah, I was giving it 450 milliamp from my pedalboard, and that's from an MXR with isolated output. So I think it was fine, but it started happening on gigs. It started cutting out. Thankfully, when it cuts out, it's true bypass, or well, certainly that's how I've got it set up. So if it did go out, if it just did die, then the sound wouldn't be affected. It's annoying for sure. So it happened a few times. So I decided I took it off my pedalboard. I took it off certainly before that Eurovision Song Contest gig. Funnily enough, I've replaced it with something really interesting, and that's the Super Ego Plus from Electro Harmonics. Not at all anything like this. It's a separate thing, but the Super Ego lets you do these beautiful sort of sustains. It's a bit like the Plus piano pedal from Game Changer Audio. It's like a piano sustain pedal. You can play a note and then just hold it and play notes over the top of it. Or in the case, and in the gig, I used it on a couple of songs, where I just wanted just complete long constant. So you play the note, hold it, wait, play the next note, hold it. And it's like really solid and doesn't waver. It's actually quite nice. Anyway, I digress. That meant that this, though, came off the board. I did wonder if slowly starving it slightly of like 50 milliamps, it was working, but just slowly depriving it of a few. I wondered if that has caused it to die. That would be my question. Well out of warranty. Yeah, I've had it about 7 years. Just checking the other comments. Yeah. Jack from Beat Boop may be able to help me, says Tone Laxis. Yeah, he's not doing repairs. He's too busy. And lots of people I know who are doing repairs, they're just too busy. Yeah. So I'm just going to chuck it on the... I've got quite a few instruments now on this never list of it just clogging up space. Promising to fix it. Anyway, I've gone so far off topic now. I was going to do a jam, wasn't I? I'll do that. Let's do a little jam. Okay, so thanks for your questions. Thanks for your company, everybody. It's really nice to see you all there. A lot of familiar faces and some that I've not seen before, so welcome if you're new. And yeah. But yeah, if I do find a solution, I will definitely talk about it on my show at some point or on Sonic, because someone else I know has got a H9 and it's happened to them as well. So it did make me wonder whether it was either the H9s getting to a certain age are just starting to die. That's what was slightly worried about, or whether this kind of just powering them slightly under does them damage. I think they give they specify higher milliampage, but it seemed to work fine, and it worked fine for a long time on that power board and on that pedal board. And I mean, we're talking years. Yeah, 5 years on that pedal board. But anyway, I mean, yeah, it's had quite a lot of use. Things die, I suppose. But anyway, if I can find a solution, I'll let you know. All right, then, I'm going to stop looking at the chat room. Thank you again, everybody, for joining me. It's great to have your company, and let's play out and see what we can do. Let's just go tempo. Let's go. I'm just going to I like giving it a spin. Didn't even see where that had got to. Wow, it's fast. That's a bit fast. It's a bit fast. 182. Let's get back. Let's get it back a bit. Okay. Off we go. Let's see what happens. Okay. Was yeah. Was just having a little twiddle there. Wasn't so good. It was okay, but yeah. I do think when I spend a little bit of time setting up a patch and then having a jam with it, it's really cool. What I've been trying to do is getting from one sort of patch to one sort of place to another kind of place. I was a bit stuck in one place tonight, but yeah, you know, a different place could be a different tempo, different key, different feel, different mood, that sort of thing. Thank you so much, everyone, and yeah, great. Thanks for joining me, and see you all soon. Take care.